I'll be remiss if I didn't mention the gentleman who was up here helping us hand out the awards. I forgot to say Mike Purcell, who's the vice president of our board of directors, because our president is fishing in Key West, Florida. So I should put a picture up of the fish he sent me that he caught today, but it's pretty impressive. So Steve Jermeyer is not here, but Steve owes Mike a beer for handling his duties tonight. Thanks, Mike, for doing that. Also, before I get going on the next little session here, I think we owe just an additional congratulations to our 18-hole Superintendent of the Year. They just welcomed their son 7 weeks ago, Tate. Anthony, congratulations, buddy. So it's my pleasure to move on to our George Turner Distinguished Service Award winner. This year, that's going to Rick Brown of Pleasant Hill. The Turner Award is given annually to someone who devotes years of service to the game here in Iowa, and Rick definitely fits that bill. I got to know Rick during his time at the Register, the Des Moines Register, where he wrote for 38 years, mostly about golf, but about other sports too. He was the guy who kind of kept golf in the sports page when probably the higher-ups at the Register would rather it not be there, I'm guessing, for many years. Ultimately, like I said, he'd spent 38 years there writing for the Register. And I'll give you a quick stat. Between 1991 and 2015, which was his last year at the Register, he was the Iowa Sports Writer of the Year 11 times. So in a 25-year span, so close to half the time, Rick was the Sports Writer of the Year. That's pretty darn impressive. During his career, Rick kept us informed on golf in and around the state, but also globally and nationally. He was our eyes and ears. He covered Jack Newman winning the U.S. Public Leagues in 2008. He covered Mike McCoy in 2013 winning the U.S. Mid-Am. Both of those guys at the Masters, because of those victories, they got to go play. He obviously covered Zach Johnson in the many, many majors he played in, the Ryder Cups, the PGA Tour events. You know, Rick was a guy that we all read and was on site for all of that stuff. It was so cool to have Rick at the state's biggest paper covering our stuff, because that meant we got terrific coverage for our most prominent events. The Iowa AM, the Women's AM, the Iowa Masters, Match Play. You know, Rick was on site for almost every single one of those, the Sani, and writing, and that got into the paper. That was so cool. It's unfortunate we've lost that, obviously, but I guess if there's a silver lining to losing that, as we look back on it, it helped us appreciate what we had at the time even more, and what we had with Rick as the sports writer covering that. So following his retirement from the Register, I guess we decided he must have been bored, so we said, hey, what do you think about writing a book about the history of Iowa golf? What transpired from that, up to my left, we have some. If anybody hasn't seen it and wants to get one before they leave, we can get you one. Over 450 pages of Iowa golf history spilled out over a multi-year process of researching that, writing it, rewriting it sometimes, right, Rick? That's really, really cool. It's become not only a great read, but it's kind of become this beacon for us as we identify future Iowa Golf Hall of Fame members too, of which, by the way, Rick was inducted in 2017. In addition to the work he did at the Register as part of his profession, obviously, but in writing the book for us, Rick also serves on 2 of our committees. He's on our Communications Committee, and he also is on our Hall of Fame Voting Committee. And that requires hours and hours of contributions to the IGA as well. So I said at the beginning of this intro that this award, named after George Turner, is given to someone who contributes to the game, you know, through tireless hours of effort. Rick, you absolutely fit that bill, and I'm sure George would be very, very happy to hand that plaque to you tonight. Come on up, it's well-deserved. Congratulations.
Thanks, Chad and the IGA. I greatly appreciate this award. I congratulate also all the other award winners tonight. A couple of them hit kind of close to home. I grew up on the Fort Dodge Country Club. That's where I learned to play golf. W.E. Bill Hurd was my pro, taught me everything about the game. I have many great memories of that place. And then Gateway Recreation. My father-in-law, Arlie McAdoo, was a member for many years. Barn 1, cart spot number 1. That was his. got sick, and he told me before he passed, you got to make sure that cart stays in number 1. So I kept it there for a few years to honor his memory. But he loved that place. I played a million times around that. So congratulations to you guys. I also would like to recognize my wife Karen, my daughter Blair, and my son Ben. I love you guys, and I'm so happy you're here tonight. And they know how much I love golf too, by the way, so they can kind of understand. A lot of times I would miss some events at home because I was out covering the tournament, because in my mind that tournament was the most important thing. More important than whatever I should have done at home, which in retrospect I was probably wrong. But anyway, that's the way it goes. And then the word love, I think of George Turner, because no one loved the game of golf more than George Turner. I got to know George way back when he was doing Iowa State games on TV and helping Frank Snyder and all that stuff. My first memory of George was that I was caddying for Tom Chapman Jr. at the Fort Dodge Amateur one year. And George was there. I was, I don't know, not very old. The old Fort Dodge course, number 2 used to be a par 3. It was tight, left all the way down. Took a long iron, you know. And as kids, we'd hit 3 woods off the tee and try to coax it down there, and then try to get on the green, and maybe get up and down once in mini moon. Well, I stood there and watched George hit a long iron. He drew that sucker in there right onto the green. I was in awe. I mean, that's one of the reasons I go, I'd like to be like that someday, is because of George Turner. But George, you know, to win an honor that's named for him is so, I mean, I'm so honored by that, because, like I said, George loved the game. He worked with my wife Karen for many years at the Girls High School Athletic Union, and he had the same passion for girls' sports in Iowa like he did golf. He was just, what a wonderful man, and I appreciate this award, and I appreciate the fact that it's named after George Turner, because everyone in Iowa owes him a big debt for the way golf is today because of what he left behind. So thank you very much for that.